Hi, this is Melanie from Hook to the Left, and today I am participating in another hashtag video series that is going around the community. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi everyone, thanks so much for being here today. If you are a fan of all things yarny or crochet, then go ahead and go down below, hit that subscribe button, and then hit the bell so that you're reminded each time I come out with a new video. So my friend Connie over at Just Another Stitch has tagged me in a video which is 10 crochet and or knitting questions. That's hashtag 10 crochet knitting questions tag. So these are just 10 questions for us to get to know each other better. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and answer these 10 questions. How long have you been crocheting or knitting? So gosh, I have been crocheting, I guess I'm going on 26 years, somewhere around there. So like 25 maybe years. I started crocheting in my early 20s when I was working in a call center, and I needed stuff to do. I was working a swing shift, so I was working till about 3 in the morning, and it would get real slow, and I wanted something to do in between calls. Now I used to read in between calls, but I would get so irritated when people would call and interrupt my book. So I decided to find something that could be interrupted without me getting so irritated, and that brought in my interest to crochet. How did I learn to crochet and or knit? So I'm old school. I learned from a book, and being left-handed, I learned by looking at right-handed. But you know, honestly, that's how I even learned to write cursive, was looking at the way a right-handed person did it. I just, in my head, I can flip it around. It didn't take me too long to, I don't remember getting too frustrated with it, and I just picked it up and just started going. And I think even after my first couple of projects, I started just doing my own thing and making up stuff as I went. You know, it was fun. I enjoyed it. What made you want to learn to crochet and or knit? Oh, there you go. It's because I needed something to do in between the calls. So I wouldn't snooze, doze off, or get irritated because somebody's interrupting my book, or, you know. So I ended up, and this is this is before computers. You know, you had your phones with the games on them, and it's before you had, you know, stuff that could distract you for a minute at a time on your phone or online. This is before all that, so that's why I picked up crochet. What is the first thing you crocheted and or knitted? So the very first thing that I crocheted, and I wish I would have brought it out here, it was a blanket, and I used, what is it, homespun. I used Lion Brand's homespun, and I made myself a throw. And then right after I finished that, I made my grandmother a throw. It was just in 2 different colors. So, and I still have that very first throw that I made. I don't have the one that I made for my grandmother, but I do have the one that I made for me. What is the last stitch or technique that you learned how to crochet and or knit? Entrelac. That is actually the newest technique that I'm learning, is the entrelac, and that actually goes into answering the next question, which the next question is, what are you currently crocheting and or knitting? So I've got 2 projects that are actively going right now. One is this one. They're going to be pillow covers. I'm going to get some pillow forms, but this is where I'm learning the entrelac. So that is one current project. And then the other project that I have going, and this is a baby blanket that I am making for a co-worker whose baby is due in July, but it's the 12-point star ridged from Bee Hooked Crochet, so it's pretty big now. It's gotten pretty big. I'm going to do one more skein. I just started on one skein. So I'm going to do one more skein of this, and then I'm going to put it away to get shipped after I wash it. So those are my 2 current active projects right now. What is something you want to learn how to crochet and or knit? I think one thing I've always been, I've always preferred and gravitated. I always preferred and gravitated towards projects that were simple and also quick to make. So I've always enjoyed that. One thing that I do want to learn how to make are cardigans. I did just make my first shrug, which is similar to a cardigan, but I do want to learn how to make cardigans, and so that's on the list, but it may not happen until I end up retiring, because they take a little while to make, especially one for a big girl like me, but I'm going to see what I can do. I would really like to learn how to make a cardigan. What has been your worst frogging experience with crochet and or knitting? Oh my gosh. Actually, I have a picture here, but it was a Mary Maxim kit. And I ended up having to scrap my first motif that I tried to make because it was a roving yarn. And roving yarns traditionally do not frog well. But it was a roving yarn, and I couldn't frog it at all without cutting it, so I ended up, it was the very first motif I made, so I learned. It's fine, I learned from that. Now I have used other roving ones, and I frogged that, and those weren't fun either. I had to frog a hat that I made too big for my head, and I was using Red Heart's Unforgettable yarn, and I went through and painstakingly slowly frogged it, and I had my needle in one hand and then frogging with the other, and then I would pick out any snags with the needle. And I probably ended up, I was able to frog about 2/3, maybe 3/4 of that. So I don't know if that was a problem, or I was like super proud of my ability to get all of that frogged, because it was a lot made. It was the whole hat cloth that was too big on my head, and so it was a pretty significant amount. What project have you crocheted and or knitted that you have been the most proud of? Oh gosh. You know, I'm going to be honest, I get pretty proud of everything that I put out there. I think probably the things that I gift that people love. I did, for one Christmas, I was able, using burnout blanket yarn, I made, for my nieces and nephews, my sister's kids, I made each of them a blanket. And she's got 4 kids, so I made each of them a blanket. And she would send me pictures of her daughter, her youngest, using that blanket. She loved her blanket so much, and then it became the couch blanket. And anyway, so those are the moments that make me really proud. It's not the project itself, it's the use of the project that makes me like super duper proud. So that's it for the 10 questions. I'm actually kind of probably, because you guys saw where I did the hashtag 10 crochet hook questions, so I'm gonna tag some of the same people. I think couple of them, yeah, a couple of them were already tagged by Connie, so I'm not, so David Brown and Browning and Grainy D were both tagged by Connie already, so I'm not going to tag them even though they're on my list, but I am going to tag Pamela. I don't think she's on this list. This tag, yep, Pamela with Pamela's Adoring Crochet. And then I also want to tag, actually here's one that I didn't tag in the last one that I wanted to tag, but she had already done it. So I would like to tag Sheila, formerly known as the Crochet Nurse. So I would love to tag Sheila, and then also tag Petra with Petra's Happy Place. And then I want to tag Reggie with J-Hook Crochet. Also want to tag Veronica with Steals the Show Crochet and Chefs. And finally, the lovely Ursula with OM Granny Square. So they're all linked down below, along with Connie, who tagged me in this, and I would love for them, along with the questions that are to be asked or to be answered, and I would love to see all of you guys' answers, and I can't wait to see many more of these crop up in the crochet community. But until my next video, you guys have an amazing day. Bye-bye.